Saludos amigos, los invitamos a escuchar La Mesa Redonda, The Round Table, donde discutimos los temas del día, hablando de política, educación y otros temas, locales, regionales y mundiales, por USA la Radio. Señoras y oyentes de USA la Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda, desde el corazón del barrio hispano en la ciudad del amor fraternal. Estamos en compañía de Johan Bermúdez al tablero. Noticias y comentario. Todo viene de Washington en este momento. Claro que hay noticias de otras partes, ¿no? Hay una epidemia en la China que está causando estragos. Hay problemas todavía, como siempre, pues en nuestro hermano país, en Venezuela. Hay dos presidentes, uno legítimo y el otro no. Depende de qué parte esté uno. Pero, bueno, aquí podemos decir simplemente que Maduro debía irse. Problemas que afectan al mundo entero. Esta epidemia en la China, si eso se va por el mundo, es un problema. Ya encontraron, no sé, creo que fue en París, en Francia, encontraron una señora que de algún modo había burlado las precauciones que está tomando el gobierno en la China para contener la epidemia. Que se parece mucho al SARS, si recordamos. Cuando se esparcen estas epidemias, sobre todo en el caso de la China, cuando hay tantas multitudes, toda gente apiñada en grandes ciudades como Shanghai, la capital, Beijing, millones y millones de gentes. Recordemos que también hubo una que se llamó Hong Kong Flu, la influencia de Hong Kong. Influenza, no influencia, es otra cosa. Mientras estamos aquí preocupados por otras cosas. Una cita que escuché esta mañana y que es muy pertinente. If a demagogue rises in America, the last place to stop him is the U.S. Senate. Si un demagogo se levanta en América, el último sitio en donde se puede contener, es el Senado de Estados Unidos. ¿Y quién dijo eso? No lo dijo Fernando Mendez, lo dijo Aaron Burr. Aaron Burr, famoso Aaron Burr porque su duelo con Hamilton está en la historia. If a demagogue rises in America, the last place to stop him is the U.S. Senate. And that is so relevant at this moment if we have been listening to the impeachment managers in the Senate, and especially if we listen to Adam Schiff, who has very eloquently put the whole impeachment process in context. And we're going to listen. I think Johan has found a segment, and we're going to listen to this particular segment in two parts. So, Johan, if we can cue up the first segment.
When we're done, we believe that we will have made the case overwhelmingly of the president's guilt. That is, he's done what he's charged with. He withheld the money, he withheld the meeting, he used it to coerce Ukraine to do these political investigations, he covered it up, he obstructed us, he's trying to obstruct you, and he's violated the Constitution. But I want to address one other thing tonight. Okay, he's guilty. Okay, he's guilty. Does he really need to be removed? Does he really need to be removed? We have an election coming up. Does he really need to be removed? He's guilty. is there really any doubt about this? I mean, do we really have any doubt about the facts here? Does anybody really question whether the president is capable of what he's charged with? No one is really making the argument Donald Trump would never do such a thing. Because of course we know that he would, and of course we know that he did. It's a somewhat different question, though, to ask, okay, it's pretty obvious, whether we can say it publicly or we can't say it publicly, we all know what we're dealing here with this president. But does he really need to be removed? And this is why he needs to be removed. Donald Trump chose Rudy Giuliani over his own intelligence agencies. He chose Rudy Giuliani over his own FBI director. He chose Rudy Giuliani over his own national security advisors. When all of them were telling him this Ukraine 2016 stuff is kooky, crazy Russian propaganda, he chose not to believe them. He chose to believe Rudy Giuliani. That makes him dangerous to us, to our country. That was Donald Trump's choice. Now, why would Donald Trump believe a man like Rudy Giuliani over a man like Christopher Wray? Okay? Why would anyone in their right mind believe Rudy Giuliani over Christopher Wray? Because he wanted to, and because what Rudy was offering him was something that would help him personally. And what Christopher Wray was offering him was merely the truth. What Christopher Wray was offering him was merely the information he needed to protect his country and its elections. But that's not good enough. What's in it for him? What's in it for Donald Trump? This is why he needs to be removed. Now, you may be asking, how much damage can he really do in the next several months until the election? A lot. A lot of damage. Now, we just saw last week a report that Russia tried to hack, or maybe did hack, Burisma. Okay? I don't know if they got in. I'm trying to find out. My colleagues on the Intel Committee, House and Senate, we're trying to find out, did the Russians get in? What are the Russian plans and intentions? Well, let's say they got in. And let's say they start dumping documents to interfere in the next election. Let's say they start dumping some real things they hacked from Burisma. Let's say they start dumping some fake things they didn't hack from Burisma, but they want you to believe they did. Let's say they start blatantly interfering in our election again to help Donald Trump. Can you have the least bit of confidence that Donald Trump will stand up to them and protect our national interest over his own personal interest? You know you can't.
And that echoes in the Senate chamber. You know you can't. You cannot trust this president to do the right thing. Those are very eloquent and very meaningful words that Adam Schiff pronounced on the floor of the Senate. Those were the closing words he used on a day when the Democrats made the case for the president's removal. They made the case. Actually, some of the commentary after the closing last night was that few expected Mr. Schiff to close the night by asking for his removal. It was expected that they would close by saying they have shown, they have evidence that he did wrong, that he sent Giuliani to put pressure on the Ukrainian president, that Mick Mulvaney could have been the engineer of the whole thing, that he and Pompeo, Giuliani, Sondland, Volcker, and others collaborated in this enterprise to put pressure on the Ukrainian president, trying to convince him that the only way he would get the military aid that he needed, the money that had already been released, that the only way he would get that would be if he agreed to start an investigation into Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, and also into the 2016 election, where Trump claimed, he continues to say, that it was Ukraine that interfered in the U.S. election. When one of my favorite witnesses during the Congress hearings on the way to impeachment, Fiona Hill, Dr. Fiona Hill, an expert in foreign affairs and who knew very well the issues at hand, when he explained that everybody was in the loop, and she put together the names of Giuliani and Sondland, Volcker, Rick Perry, and she said, Mick Mulvaney said it. He said, quid pro quo. That's how we work at the White House. We do that every day. And that is why we have an impeachment process in progress. That is why 2 articles of impeachment were sent to the Senate. This will continue, and let's not forget that one thing that has not been mentioned throughout the impeachment hearings, I don't recall hearing it in Congress, in the House, and perhaps it will not be mentioned in the Senate either. But one of the things we should remember is that even though they narrowed the case, the Democrats in Congress made it a narrow case by discarding other transgressions by the president, that they could have impeached him for other things on a morals charge because he paid a porn star, Stormy Daniels, and his lawyer verified the charges because he did that. And that could have been enough for any official, much less a president, because he interfered that way. He interfered with the election of 2016. That was direct. The payments to Stormy Daniels were directed to avoid the publicity brought about by the charges, because that would have been, during the Clinton era, that would have been the nail in the coffin for Mr. Clinton if he had been accused of paying a porn star. But that was not even brought up during the proceedings in Congress. Also, another thing that is even more devastating, what he's done to the environment by removing us from the Paris Accords on climate change and isolating this country from our allies and serving the agenda of Vladimir Putin, standing next to Putin and saying that he believed Putin before he believed his own intelligence, that Putin had told him, I did not interfere in the 2016 election. So how is that possible that this guy is now under the threat of being thrown out of the presidency for only those two things, obstruction of Congress and what he did with the Ukrainian president, which was corruption, by attempting to use blackmail to basically telling the Ukrainian president, yes, you can have the money, but only if you do this for me. And so using his office to get something that would be of personal gain to him. If a Ukrainian president started an investigation, Mr. Trump would benefit by having his opponent, Joe Biden, under investigation. Well, we're going to take a brief pause en Usa la Media, la Mesa Redonda. Les habla Fernando Mendez, Johan Bermúdez al tablero. Regresamos en un momento.
Hello, my name is Sheila E. Armstrong, and I'm a candidate for the 2nd Congressional District. The reason why I'm the best candidate for the 2nd Congressional District is because I am on the ground doing the work. As your community congresswoman, I'm committed to go door by door and neighborhood to neighborhood to address the issues in our community. For instance, one issue that is concerning to me is the gun violence. The day is January the 16th, and the city of Philadelphia has 22 murders, which is more than a days in a year. This is not right. And you deserve to live in a city and a community that is safe. As your community congresswoman, I will work diligently to fight for you, the people. My name is Sheila E. Armstrong, and I am the best candidate for the 2nd Congressional District. Thank you.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Señoras y señores de Usa la Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda desde el corazón del barrio hispano en la ciudad del amor fraternal. Se nos ha unido hoy aquí a la Mesa Redonda Martin Pratt. Bienvenido. Welcome.
Hola.
Les habla Fernando Mendez, Johan Bermúdez al tablero y vamos a continuar con nuestro programa. Escuchamos, we listened to the beginning of what will turn out to be a memorable speech on the floor of the Senate by Adam Schiff. Says, can we trust this president? And he says, no, we cannot trust him. And he needs to be replaced. So, if Johan finds it, let's play the second part of this segment of Adam Schiff. While Johan finds it, it just continues.
None of us can. What happens if China got the message? Now, you can say, well, he's just joking. Of course, he didn't really mean China should investigate the Bidens. You know that's no joke. Now, maybe you could have argued 3 years ago when he said, hey, Russia, if you're listening, hack Hillary's emails. Maybe you could give him a freebie and say he was joking. But now we know better. Hours after he did that, Russia did, in fact, try to hack Hillary's emails. There's no mulligan here when it comes to our national security. So what if China does overtly or covertly start to help the Trump campaign? You think he's going to call him out on it? Or you think he's going to give him a better trade deal on it? Can any of us really have the confidence that Donald Trump will put his personal interests ahead of the national interest? Is there really any evidence in this presidency that should give us the ironclad confidence that he would do so? You know you can't count on him to do that. That's the sad truth. You know you can't count on him to do that. The American people deserve a president they can count on to put their interest first. To put their interest first. Colonel Vindman said, here right matters. Here right matters. Well, let me tell you something. If right doesn't matter, it doesn't matter how good the Constitution is. It doesn't matter how brilliant the framers were. It doesn't matter how good or bad our advocacy in this trial is. It doesn't matter how well written the oath of impartiality is. If right doesn't matter, we're lost. If the truth doesn't matter, we're lost. The framers couldn't protect us from ourselves if right and truth don't matter. And you know that what he did was not right. You know, that's what they do in the old country that Colonel Vindman's father came from, or the old country that my great-grandfather came from, or the old countries that your ancestors came from, or maybe you came from. But here, right is supposed to matter. It's what's made us the greatest nation on earth. No constitution can protect us. Right doesn't matter anymore. And you know you can't trust this president to do what's right for this country. You can trust he will do what's right for Donald Trump. He'll do it now. He's done it before. He'll do it for the next several months. He'll do it in the election if he's allowed to. This is why, if you find him guilty, you must find that he should be removed. Because right matters. Because right matters. And the truth matters. Otherwise, we are lost.
Well, what do you say, Martin?
As eloquent as Schiff is, sometimes I think the challenge that Democrats have in general, even going back to Al Gore, is that they almost try to take the high road. And a good example of this is Michelle Obama. They try to take the moral ground too much.
They're too ethical, is that what you're saying?
I think that I think
too
that
Puritan.
Well, I think they always try to appeal to your better character.
Yes.
And while that and I get it, but you have to have a certain weight to do that.
That doesn't get you
Barack
the votes.
Obama could do that. Michelle Obama, honestly, I think she would have been better if she said, "Cut them at their knees." That's more in her character, even though she may not be that type of person. The perception of character that she has, that she will, cut him. It's like she would come on campus and check on Barack throughout his journey in college, and the women that were on campus knew that Michelle was coming to town, and they would stand off from him. They wouldn't try to flirt with him because, and this was directly from one of the women who was on campus at the same time he was. And so all I'm saying is that I think that the Democrats, Adam Schiff is considered now to be the Nancy Pelosi within the Senate, as far as people are hating him. They're trying to destroy him. Of course, Trump does his name calling, but I mean, senators really have said some really vicious things. And to me, Adam Schiff is the type of person that needs to go blow by blow. Don't give me an eloquent speech. Give me point one. He's like an accountant, And so some of those IRS accountants or IRS, they're the scariest MFs on the planet because they're not going to. That's it. Like, you owe this amount. Do you have this amount? We did an audit. I would like to have heard that from Adam Schiff versus the eloquency. This is what happened. He did. I'm not saying he didn't do that, but I'm saying, to me, these Schiff, not so much the other guy was Natler. I think Natler played to his character. I guess what I'm trying to say. The Democrats don't play their character strengths. They tend to play to the moral character of whatever the high ground is. And, we saw this with Barack Obama. We see it with Clinton. People who play to their own character win.
I think you're wrong, Martin, because these guys don't want to hear the truth. The Republicans sitting there, in fact, many of them are not taking notes. In fact, the leader...
They were sleeping.
The leader of them...
Did you see it? The illustration?
Moscow Mitch McConnell
Yeah.
didn't have a pencil or paper.
Right.
Didn't have a laptop computer with him. Nothing.
Right.
He just sat there and stared ahead.
Right.
And
They're ready for this to be over.
show his contempt, then he would stand up and say, "Well, we'll take a break now, and we'll come back in a half hour."
Right.
And that was it. That was his response to everything.
Right.
Which is expected, I guess, because that was the
Well,
procedure.
right.
Is that they will have their turn at the microphone.
Exactly.
And they will then have the counter argument. But they should have been taking notes. They should have been more attentive. And it was funny because they took a picture from the top showing the two tables. And you can see on the left, you can see the Democrats' table full of papers, files, laptops. And then you can see the Republican table where there was nothing. No, there was a couple of papers, but not much going on the rest. Because what they are saying is, basically, we don't care what you have to say. We're not going to listen to you. We have made up our minds.
Who do you think the Democrats are? In your case, you're saying Democrats should be speaking to the senators. And I believe Democrats should be speaking to American people.
Well, I think that was the whole point with the speeches from Schiff and from
they were to American
Nadler.
people?
They were talking to the American people.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And you're saying the eloquence is wasted? I mean, they're trying to motivate people.
Well, keep in mind, though, this is... Yeah, but keep in mind how information is being disseminated now, right? We don't have video. People are live blogging it. And we have the New York Times guy who's live painting everything, the scene as it happens.
Yes.
So I would like, again, to have seen more blow by blow, point one, 5 bullet points, 3 bullet points. American people, unfortunately, let's be honest. I mean, Obama said hope. People remember. I'm not saying that American people can't take a nuanced argument, but
you are saying that.
No, I'm saying you have to give them in bite-sized information because that's how it's coming out. That's one. Two, you got to remember, I mean, you and I grew up under these guys like Tip O'Neill, and I'm trying to think of the other guy that was not Morgenthau, Dan Moynihan. We grew up with speakers, Bill Bradley. We grew up with Jack Kemp, and of course Reagan. But my point is that people
who could have civil arguments. Yes.
Right, and they could make a logical step-by-step, and it was interesting to sit there and listen to them. At least that's how I felt. Maybe, I don't know if my contemporaries felt that way. But at 50, I'm looking around in the room. like you're talking about the Democrats. I'm looking on the train. I'm the only guy with a book. I'm the only guy with a pencil and pen. I ride the train with a portfolio, and I'm taking notes about what I'm thinking in my head because that's how I believe that I remember more by actually writing it out. Everybody's on their phone. So I think that strategically, Nadler did great. I think, unfortunately, Adam Schiff's points are lost when you have an entire organization devoted to making fun of him and demonizing him. If he had guys that got three things, the Russians did hack. He asked the Russians to hack. They did hack. He withheld. We now know he withheld the money, and by his own account, he said it was 2 days ago. Yeah, we got our documents. Trump said, yeah, we got the documents. He actually said it in Davos.
We got them.
Yeah, we got them. So what? And so he said,
you can't have them.
Right. And he said, do we? Another thing would be, do we have a president or a mobster boss?
We have a master.
We have a mob boss.
Yeah.
And so I would something something that is bite sized that is could go across. Even if the New York Post and people were repeating what Schiff said, they'd be like, "Oh, he called Trump a mob boss." But that would
so
sink
what you are
feel what I'm saying?
criticizing, I understand. I think I understand you. You're criticizing Schiff particularly,
Right, yeah.
because of his lofty language, because of the metaphors, because of the images he uses. The language is not down at the level where people would understand. Instead of saying the president doesn't deserve to be reelected because he has been breaking the law.
He's a criminal.
You want him to say the president is a criminal, the president is a mobster, the president...
Right.
Okay.
Now...
Well, I get that, but that is not necessarily the way that you inspire people. Might be the way you insult and offend, but that's not the way you inspire people. Look, senators were offended. Lisa Murkowski and what was the other one?
By Nadler.
And Susan Collins.
And he was
offended by Nadler because Nadler said they were hiding.
It was a cover-up.
They were hiding.
He said lies. He said lies 4 times. But do you understand what the story is?
Yeah.
The story is Nadler said lies.
Yes.
So the person in Iowa, the person in Utah, their news is just like you said. Our senator was offended by Representative Nadler who called all the Senate liars. Why did he do that? Thoughts that you're implanting information into people with words. And I think my challenge is, and even though Nadler got admonished, and also the White House lawyer got admonished, as they should have been, according to the civility of the Senate, still, if this is really for the country, if this is of all... not the election, but this could be for all the marbles. And if it's that serious...
It is serious.
Then you need to take every risk possible to implant in the American psychic. And we know the American psychic, we know from even past when we were born, the American psychic is not a psychic that has always been able to understand nuances. When you look at the American song, what do they call it? The thing that people sing, with not the flag, but the others, the national anthem. The anthem. It has certain things in there. People are like, I didn't realize she was saying that. Like, you've been hearing these words all your life, and you didn't realize she said that. Again, that they're not. America is not that smart. I'm just gonna be real. Like a lot of other cultures are way more nuanced than American culture. So to that point. You need to make the points that if Nadler said liars and he had said criminal, woo.
So what are you saying? You're questioning the use of language
to motivate the Americans to be mad at their senators.
Right. So you want them to use, instead of poetry, use the language of rappers, more or less.
No, I think, but I think that if we had
not that rapping is not poetry.
I think if Tip O'Neill would have said criminal. I don't think it's rappers. I think Tip O'Neill would have said that he was a criminal. I think Tip O'Neill knows would have got read,
Yeah.
Spittle would have flew out his mouth.
After the night out in town, yes.
Whatever. Well, there's no, you only drink water and milk, so But
Yeah.
their water would have been something else. It would have been a flask,
Yeah.
of water. But the point I'm making is that he would have spit. He would have spit and said, this is criminal. This is the American people deserve more. We have people in a jail who've done worse. And and it would have said something, and that would have stuck. And that would have been that would have been the headline across all newspapers. American press, and then internationally, the international press would have lit into that. While knuckleheads in Davos, hey, Mr. President, apparently your senator is calling you a criminal. Mob boss. Say anything to that truck. You get what I'm saying? So
But that has already been done. He has called him mobster.
And this is why I feel
He
like
has been called a mobster.
the Democrats are kind of like the Knicks. They kind of, they don't, it's not totally, but they don't get it. And when the crunch time comes, they kind of. So here was crunch time. This was crunch time.
Do you remember, Martin?
Nadler put the ball up in the air.
Do you remember? Do you remember his lawyer, Michael Cohen, describing how Trump gives orders?
Yeah.
Huh? He doesn't say anything directly. He suggests an idea, and then you know how to interpret it because you've been around him.
Right, and that
And that's
insulates
what
him.
he
That
said.
insulates him from. But by Nancy Pelosi, as she said, being what was the word she used on Friday on Bill Maher's show that went viral? She said we have to be cutthroat, or it was cutthroat, or it was a word like that, and she was like, by her cutthroatness, she's put the pressure on Trump, and Trump is now impugning himself. He's now saying things like, "Yeah, we got all the documents." And you could just use Trump's words. You don't. But here's the thing. To your point, the difference with Cohen and everybody else that has even this guy Levitt, whatever his name is,
Yeah.
Parnos. They're
Lev Parnas.
they are they're criminal. They're under investigation, and so it's different from somebody who's not under investigation, hasn't taken a bribe, is in their political office, and respected.
Well, so we reached the end of this segment here in USA la Media, la Mesa Redonda Roundtable. Johan Bermúdez al tablero, Martin Pratt nos acompaña el día de hoy. Regresamos en un momento.
Hello, my name is Melvin Prince John, and I'm running for the 3rd Congressional District, City of Philadelphia, in the great state of Pennsylvania. We're 16 days in January. There's more than 22 killings in our city. You need a community congressman that will go block by block, door by door, and fix this problem. Now, I think it's economics, but you might think it's something else. And I'm coming so you can tell me what it is. Once again, my name is Melvin Prince Johnick, and I'm running for the 3rd Congressional District. Thank you.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Señoras y oyentes de USA la Media, estamos aquí de nuevo en la Mesa Redonda de Roundtable desde el corazón del barrio hispano en la ciudad del amor fraternal. Les habla Fernando Mendez, Johan Bermúdez al tablero, Martin Pratt con nosotros.
Hola.
And we are in discussion about the goings on in the Senate with this impeachment trial. And we listened to the speech, the closing speech by Adam Schiff. And what Martin is saying that his language is not would not produce the desired results of motivating people because it's too lofty and too poetic, and it's not approachable by the average American. That's so.
It's not new. It's not news headline. It doesn't dominate.
It
the
doesn't
news
have the
no.
same impact.
Who's putting up Adam Schiff? MSNBC is putting up. CNN is not running what Adam Schiff said. So and Fox is not.
Fox. Do you see Fox? They show clips of other people in Fox. Everybody, like they got the message, they got a memo.
Right.
It's boring. Every single anchor, every single person, including
Right.
what's
And
his
so
name?
if Schiff had said criminal and mob boss, I guarantee you that would be dominating Fox. See, that's the thing I'm saying. What Democrats don't seem to understand strategy. They don't seem to have real strategy. And I feel their frustration. I feel not saying it. I feel certain people within the party's frustration with the organization, with the DNC, because consistently the DNC ignores people who actually get it right. There's a young lady who left she was an operative for the DNC. She left. She went out there and raised $75 million to do ads for progressive PACs. The billionaires gave her money like, look, you get it. Handle our ads. And she helped change the course of the House of Representatives. Her agency is one of the agencies that everybody used because she got it. But she had to leave the DNC, the organization. Not as a Democrat, but I'm saying leave the organization to do her own thing, go out there and raise your own money to come back and help. Because the internal issue, I think, within Hillary Clinton's camp, and I hate to say this, but there were a lot of older black women there, very conservative. They're not the type that are going to, like you said, they're not going to use language that's, oh my God, he called him they would never. I can't see Donna was it Brazil?
Brazil.
Never saying. I mean, now she is because she's on CNN or wherever she's at. I forget. It's Fox. She's on Fox or wherever she's at now. She's saying stuff that's kind of. But Donna Brazil from 2014 would not say Trump is a criminal. She would say his language is horrible. He's
broken the law.
Right. Exactly. He's broken the law. How does that sound? Bad boy. You're broken. It's just like with computers. I've always said things are not bugs. It's a defect. It's defective. Oh, what are you talking about? That software is not buggy. It's defective. Because if it was a product that didn't work the right way, you would be sending it back to the manufacturer.
So
because
the next
defective.
time you have a cold, I'll say you are defective.
No, next time you have a
send
cold,
you back to,
you should
back
say
to the factory.
You should say Martin he'll fast. No, that's a bug is not what's the name.
Martin Pratt is defective. Return to factory.
But yeah, the amazing thing to me is the other thing is that they have this opportunity. The news cycle is here, right?
Yes.
And maybe they're gonna do it next week. Well, it would be genius. I mean, maybe Nancy's she's smart.
Oh,
So if she got the House Intelligence or whatever committee to run while the Republicans are doing their rebuttal, to have John Bolton subpoenaed and test, but they would have to subpoena him this week to get him in next week, I guess. I'm assuming. Maybe not. Maybe subpoena him in a day, I guess.
They might. Yeah.
But the point is, run something simultaneously. So you're dominating the news cycle as much as they're dominating the news cycle. And you're not looking like a bunch of whiny, I can't believe they're so corrupt. I can't, I mean, you're saying the same, their talking points. And honestly, the Republicans' talking points this time around are horrible. I almost harkered back to the day when we had Scooter Libby and we had Carl Rowe. I mean, their talking points were they were on point, man. They were coming hard with the talking point. These talking points are the worst, terrible Republican talk. But guess what? They don't sound like a bunch of whiny, oh, this is not fair. Look what they're doing. They sound like people who are adamant about, again, wrong, completely wrong, but adamant about their wrongness. And the American people like bravado. I mean, you got to play to your audience. And I don't even think that it's you as a teacher, they say you can catch more students, you teach more with honey than you can with vinegar. And so I think if you're teaching a room full of young men who can't sit still, some of the best teachers I know have taken us outside the classroom, took us outside to the schoolyard to talk about whatever it was, arithmetic, it didn't matter. Oh, now I'm outside. Now I can focus. Why? Because I was boxed in. But you teach to the audience versus teach to the test. And I feel like the test is, Trump is doing things wrong. Okay, we all know that. We're here with you. We can see he's doing things wrong. Tell us what he's doing wrong, and help us convince our neighbor that their support for him is wrong. And our neighbor and us, we both go to our local representative and say, "What the heck are you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like they've given American people any ammunition to go to the remember when they were going to cut the health benefits, and all the folks who were getting health care came to the Capitol Hill, and they came in wheelchairs. They came in people's children who had died because they didn't have health care, and they confronted the politicians in elevators. That happened because people were outraged about something very simple. They're going to cut away health care. Are you crazy? We all could die. And the people showed up. It's not that complicated. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to dumb it down or award it, but give people something they can actually grab a hold of, take it to your neighbor or their family and friends and say, we can't allow this to happen. Let's go.
Well, you might have something there, but I still think when Schiff says this president chose to believe Rudy Giuliani over his 17 intelligence agencies, that's a fact. That's not highfalutin language.
What does
That
that
is a
actually
fact.
mean to somebody that's on a farm in South Dakota that he chose Rudy Giuliani?
Martin, if
I'm
we
not
go in
saying-
there,
but I'm asking.
you know what? The people in that farm are probably not listening. They probably don't care. They're worried about what they're going to do tomorrow, how they're going to pay their bills tomorrow.
And
They're not listening to any of this debate, no matter what anybody says, any kind of language.
But the North Plains Dealer, the newspaper, would carry the headline, Trump acted criminally with Giuliani if he had said something like that. Versus, you see what I mean? The language, you got to give newspapers something to sell.
You should give Americans more credit than that. You're thinking that there's only one kind of American, the one
Philadelphia
that needs
just
this.
got his first Hispanic archbishop. The first.
Yes.
Philadelphia,
Yes.
a city that's full of Hispanics,
Yes.
in 2020 finally got its first archbishop Hispanic. That's ridiculous.
How many black archbishops have we had?
Not Philly, but Africa had them.
No, but I mean,
But it's more
You're
Christians
talking
than that.
about-
But it's
but
more
there-
Christians. But it's more Christians, and they're increasing their population.
There are more blacks in this city than Hispanics.
True, but black people, we're not Catholic in this city as much as we are as Hispanics are. The other thing is, I just found out we only have one statue of 1,000 statues in Philadelphia. There's only one statue for a black person, and it's a guy who got shot. Octavius Cato. He got shot, and that's why
Where did he get shot?
he got shot coming out of a polling place. He had encouraged black people to go vote in 1860 something.
Right.
And he's coming out of Tuesday,
Right.
election day, and two assassins, one Irish guy who's known as an assassin, shot him, and he was reaching for his gun to shoot back, and they caught him in the rib and caught him in the stomach, and he died. But my point is, you're saying, "Oh, Martin, I'm like, listen, Fernando,
but no
we are still living in a time where we are separated, where America has not progressed to where its ideals are. I'm not saying that the ideals of experiment America shouldn't be here. I'm saying to get there, we got to take steps. And I think that Obama got that. The reason why he had the money, but the other reason was he gave people basic information that they could, here's a symbol, the O, Obama, O. Here's a word, hope, change. Okay, I got it. Okay, let's go. That was it. I mean, essentially, that was it. An entire 22 rap mixtape was made based on the word hope. There were rappers from all over came up with, they used that one word to inspire them. My President is Black. Jay-Z did another song, the song. It was a bunch of different things that came out of the word hope and change. And will.i.am made 2 videos on his own about change, how important change is. I mean, come on, Fernando. The Democratic Party to me is it just doesn't seem to get how to do strategic marketing. I'm not saying the entire party. I'm saying there's a lot of people that are in positions of power that don't know how to get America motivated. And I think that's a real problem Democrats really have. Now, the other side of it is he's pissing off. Did you see the President Pence commercial?
Yes.
Oh my God. So I was like, wow, Republicans are really pissed off.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, and so play to that. Play that he's embarrassing y'all. Do y'all see your
Well, you know, he's angry right now, Trump. He's angry because Mayor Bloomberg has come out in the polls. And now
and he can beat him with 10 points.
he
can beat him.
He calls him Mini now. He's giving him a name.
Yeah, but it's not going to stick.
And that's not going to stick. Bloomberg is above all that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he's truly afraid. I had another discussion previously, yesterday actually.
Yes.
And Sheila Armstrong running for, she's a Republican,
Okay.
running for Congress in the
Okay.
2nd district, I believe. And I told her, I think Bloomberg is going to win. Bloomberg
think
has
so
all
too.
the money.
I think so too. I think that he could, when it comes to the convention, because there's not going to be like Biden hasn't. He doesn't really have the young vote. Bernie has a young vote, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then Elizabeth has a woman's vote.
Yeah.
And then Bloomberg can slide in there.
Yeah.
And the way that the Democratic convention is, the way that they're caucusing, they do all this stuff. I mean, honestly, and all he needs to do is for the next 6 months. He doesn't even need to do a debate. He can just keep showing up in the polls.
Right.
And that's smart.
There's a funny clip they played of Bloomberg in Texas, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that people are complaining that there are 2 billionaires. The whole race could end up with the 2 billionaires. So he says, what I wonder is, who's the other one?
Exactly. And he has good timing. He did it in New York. He's good. He's got comedic timing. And he's smart. He's snarky. He's low key snarky. But he also is very strategic. See, the thing about Trump is excellent in getting reality, dominating news cycles. But Bloomberg understands how to build from ground zero, nothing,
Right.
to something that every single financial market had to use,
Right.
and then expand upon that. So while Trump knows, I think, is almost a top-down person. Like, hey, I'm a celebrity. Hey, look at me. Hey, attention, right? But there's nothing underneath that. Bloomberg knows how to insidiously create
The man of
structure.
substance.
Well, but he also knows how to create structure and virality. Bloomberg.com was a joke. Remember, it was a joke. I went to Bloomberg Radio. I was interviewed on Bloomberg Radio. I went into their space, and they had these set up like we have. It was we are off. We talked ourselves off the air.
Go ahead.
Well, I went into the setup, and they were at their desk. I had never been interviewed at a radio station where I'm sitting at somebody's desk. I had headphones on, the mic's in front of my mouth, the person interviewing me was sitting right there, and that was it. He didn't spend a dime on a studio with soundboards and all this echo. It was like you heard
It's an office.
you heard the rest of the floor. This was I think it was like I want to say 99 or 2001, and it was unheard of for a radio to have hear background noise. He knows how to build something and how to make it grow without any sticking by the rules, so to speak, and he has enough money. That's the whole thing too. He has enough money to stay there long enough to outlast you.
There are some experts saying that he jumped into the race too late.
Yeah, I think he did it at the right
and
time.
that
I think he did it at the right time.
That he was going to have a chance in
Yeah,
the 3 or 4 primaries, the initial ones.
Right.
That he will only do well on Super Tuesday, perhaps, and then that's not enough. That blah blah blah. But I think they say if Biden or another Democrat,
Right.
if they pick up strength in Iowa and New Hampshire,
Right.
that will be it. That Bloomberg has no chance because of the number of delegates
Right,
and all
right,
that stuff.
right.
But I still think that
Yeah, things can
this is gonna
change.
be
Things can,
contested.
and even if he didn't, that convention, that week of the convention,
right.
that's all he really needs. Honestly, that's what he needs. He needs to get a street team, and he knows how to do this. He knows how to build.
He's
He
going
did
to get there.
Yeah, and the other thing is that he could do a Reagan. You know what Reagan did with George Bush? Bush was supposed to get the nomination.
Yeah.
And Reagan was supposed to get the nomination by himself, and Bush is ex-CIA guy is like, hey, nah,
here.
bro,
I'm here.
yeah, and so they had the horse deal on the floor, and I kind of feel like Bloomberg is going to be that guy.
Well, so you think there's going to be a ticket, Bloomberg Biden, or who's going to be at the top of the ticket?
It could be, and that would be Biden. Bloomberg would be, or Bloomberg Biden would be. That would be unstoppable.
You think Biden would want to be vice president again?
Probably no, not probably not.
I don't think so.
But
I don't think he would accept the role.
No, yeah, probably not.
Although
But
that could be a good
he
thing.
doesn't. Although he doesn't say, he says, "Listen, I really don't." He hasn't committed to being a president a second term. So I don't think I think he recognizes. Look, I'm tired. I'm gonna do this to save America. It's my last hurrah, and I know I gotta pull it out for you guys. I'm Biden. I'm gonna do it. But I'm not saying I'm doing another term. So he needs a guy or somebody sitting next to him that's going to be that the American people can believe in as to be a president. And he's older. I don't want to speak anything ill on him, but he's older. So yeah.
Okay, so who else could be on the ticket? If it was, let's say Bloomberg wins, who would be on the
I think
ticket?
he would choose a woman. He would choose a woman. He would
Amy
definitely
Klobuchar.
maybe
Yeah.
'cause, he would like a hawk. So I think
I would like Kamala Harris actually.
Ugh,
You don't like her? No.
She's just her and Cory Booker are the most fake and phony folks that I don't feel I feel they genuinely want the job. I'm not saying they don't want the job. Let me be clear. They want the job. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that
They're not good.
I don't know. I don't feel any humanity from neither one of them as far as where they humanly are. Where's their spirit? Where's their, what do they call it, spirit animal? What side of the coin is their spirit animal on?
Right.
Amy Klobuchar, we know what side she's on. Elizabeth Warren, we know what side. Do you see what the guy said to her yesterday?
That Warren wouldn't be on anybody's ticket.
No, I don't think so. Well, I don't know. Yeah, it would be hilarious. Imagine if Bloomberg is strategic, but think about this: Bloomberg's strategic. If he could, and I don't know that Elizabeth would take it, like you said, but if he saw an opportunity, he would offer. I'm sure he would offer a vice presidency to Elizabeth Warren. I'm sure it, and say, listen, I'm only doing this because I also don't think Bloomberg is.
She was a Republican too, right?
Yes, exactly. And I don't know that Bloomberg was really in it to say that he wants to be president. I think he wants to get rid of Trump.
He wants to get rid of Trump, and that's why he says he's going to spend all his money.
Right, the last dime. Yeah, get rid of Trump.
To get rid of Trump. So, Martin, unfortunately, we ran out of time here in USA la Media, la Mesa Redonda. Thank you. Muchas gracias por su sintonía el día de hoy. Se despide Fernando Mendez, Martin Pratt, Johan Bermúdez al tablero. Hasta la próxima.